The process of facing your shadow, resolving your trauma in order to heal, and going deep into your neurology to awaken can be extremely confronting and scary and unpleasant. This channel is Meditation Amsterdam. My name is Pablo, and today I want to talk about perhaps the most difficult element in healing, our maturation process, and our awakening process. The reason for the video is I've been going through that process myself for quite some time now. I didn't want to make a big deal out of my own process, but I'm working on a daily basis now with people who either through trauma or general codependence or the desire to awaken are voluntarily putting themselves on the line to be exposed to their deepest fears, be exposed to their most painful memories, and be exposed to things that we otherwise try by any means to escape from and distract ourselves away from. And it is truly inspiring to see the courage that all these individuals have in stepping into the scary unknown, that place that you really don't want to go to in yourself. Some of these people are 20 years younger than I am, and when I work with those guys, it makes me wish I had started this process way earlier. And some of them are 20 years older than I am. And they make me realize that the process happens not a moment too soon, and that it's never too late to actually begin your transformation journey, and that you can make, with some good advice and a lot of sincerity and curiosity, you can make serious progress in this journey. But the journey is a journey into the abyss. There's no doubt about that. So in Dante's Divine Comedy, the inscription at the entrance of hell is supposed to say, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." And this is literally true. It's not just figurative. And so why is this the case? Well, it just so happens that you cannot heal trauma or face your fears through a bypass operation. It's a matter of going into the pain directly, of triggering it, opening that part of your neurology that doesn't want to be felt, and going straight into feeling it. And not only that, but feeling how you feel about it, in which in most cases is reluctant, hateful, or just feeling despair about it, shame, right? So there's a layer of unwanted emotion, or a layer of very yucky feelings about your primary fear or your primary fears. Some of these have to do, or are rather triggered by things that have happened to us. And some of those events may or may not be traumatic on the face of it, right? They might just be very mundane things. In some cases, the events are actually very traumatic. And those circumstantial fears that we have inside point to deeper and more primal fears. And when you start to explore those, then all bets are off. Then safety goes immediately out the window as an element in the exercise, because you have to let go of that. what it feels like is, it feels like you're about to go into a cave in which you know for a fact there's a monster. And not only that, but during the facilitation process, you are asked to remove your armor and to leave your flashlight at the entrance. So you're going in blind and naked to interact with something that you know can stump you to death and burn you to a crisp. And here comes the bigger punchline of it all. You are supposed to allow it to stump you to death and burn you to a crisp. You are supposed to die to the pain, to let it take you over completely if necessary, but at the same time without flipping out. And that's part of the skillful facilitation of of trauma release and facing fear, so that every bit of defense that we have created through our lives, alloplastic defenses to do with arguing our way out of facing the fear, maneuvering politically, not showing up, avoidance, distraction, consumption, relationships, trips, friendships, Netflix, chocolate ice cream, drugs, alcohol, workaholism, being so immersed in family life that you have no time to be alone and face it. Every single thing that you have used to placate this, to ignore it, to run away from it, is now stripped away. And you are supposed to be naked in front of your very self, of the dragon that's going to kill you. And it is the scariest thing you can ever imagine. There's nothing else I can say about it. It's just hair-raisingly scary. And then when you face it, it's damn unpleasant. Horrifying, as a matter of fact. You come to also realize that you are not just facing your fears, that you are not just conquering, or rather colonizing, a nervous system that quote unquote belongs to you. Your nervous system doesn't belong to you. It is inherited from the longest possible line of living creatures that came before you. From the moment we were a wiggly amoeba in the primordial ooze until now. And every fear and every hang-up that has been encoded into our DNA has to be faced, and the deeper you go, the more primal they become. They become completely visceral. Now, at this point, you've probably figured that unless you have trauma, there's very little reason to do all this work. And that goes back to the notion that the Buddha is made by the mud of suffering, essentially, right? There needs to be enough suffering to bother embarking into this process and see it through. And I can attest, at least in my personal case, for the fact that it can take months on end of near daily purging and facing and going through this and domesticating all these parts of our nervous system. And at the same time, I can attest for the fact that the more you do that, the more pristine, beautiful, open, creative, and loving your entire life becomes. It is worth every ounce of pain and uncertainty and confusion that you go through. It's the only real process worth going through at the end of the day. Maybe there may be other inroads of exploration or other things like having kids, for example, or doing something meaningful for others. What I have figured out in my personal experience is that my ability to process and swallow pain enhances my ability to facilitate that process for others. And it's a very, very motivating thing to do. It's actually a game changer in your own process when you start to do it a little bit more for the greater good. But at the end of the day, this video is simply to prepare you for the process if you are considering to embark in it, and to also motivate you to the fact that the more you go through it, you start to see clarity more and more. It comes, and the peace starts to arise more and more. The amount of harmony that you start to feel, the amount of connectedness, not on a mental level or a narrative level, but on an actual perceptual level. And it is incredible. Difficult process, but definitely worth going through. And you're in the fight for your life. It's the fight of your life. It's nothing short of that. So it's definitely a thing. And having said all that, I am very curious about your take on this one. And also, if you believe that others may benefit from this content, then your liking, sharing, and subscribing makes the channel more visible and available. And it's also very motivating to me. And I'll be back with more videos pretty soon. Till then, cheerio. Bye-bye.